December 1950. The Korean War rages. In the northern port city of Hungnam, a humanitarian crisis of epic proportions is unfolding. The city is surrounded, and for tens of thousands of civilians, the only escape is the sea. Amid the chaos, the sounds of artillery echo across the frozen landscape, a constant, terrifying reminder that time is running out. As desperate crowds surge toward the docks, one vessel stands as a beacon of hope against the backdrop of destruction. She isn't a warship bristling with guns, but a humble merchant vessel, the SS Meredith Victory. Her original purpose was to carry cargo, not people. Her captain, Leonard LaRue, and his small crew were never trained for a rescue mission of this scale. They were ordinary sailors facing an extraordinary choice. The orders were simple but staggering. Evacuate as many refugees as possible. The ship was designed for a crew of about 47 and perhaps a dozen passengers. But looking at the sea of desperate faces on the pier, families clinging to each other, children bundled against the biting cold, the elderly struggling to stand, the crew knew they couldn't turn anyone away. They began taking people aboard, abandoning all regulations, driven by a simple, powerful human impulse to help. The loading process was a frantic race against time. Rope ladders were thrown over the side. The crew, along with South Korean soldiers, formed human chains, lifting children, helping the elderly, and pulling people from the chaotic throng onto the safety of the deck. Every available inch of space was filled. People crammed onto the main deck, exposed to the elements. They were packed into the deep, dark cargo holds, layers upon layers of human beings seeking shelter from the war. When the last possible person was aboard, the SS Meredith Victory was carrying an estimated 14,000 refugees. It was a city at sea, a floating vessel of hope, dangerously overloaded and utterly defenseless. The ship was so packed that people had to stand shoulder to shoulder for the entire journey. There was no room to sit, let alone lie down. Sanitation was non-existent. Food and water were critically scarce. As the ship pulled away from the burning city of Hungnam on December 23rd, the true peril of their journey began. They had to navigate a 30-mile-wide minefield laid by both sides. The waters were patrolled by enemy submarines and the skies by enemy aircraft. The SS Meredith Victory was a slow-moving, unarmed target. Captain LaRue had no charts for the minefield. He had only his skill, his experience, and his faith to guide them through the deadly maze. For 3 days and 3 nights, they sailed through a gauntlet of danger. The tension was palpable. The crew stood watch, their eyes scanning the dark horizon for any sign of attack. Searchlights from enemy shore batteries swept across the water, narrowly missing them. Below deck, in the suffocating darkness of the holds, the refugees prayed. They shared what little food they had. They comforted crying children and held on to a fragile thread of hope. The air was thick with fear, but also with an incredible sense of shared humanity and resilience. In the midst of this perilous voyage, something miraculous happened. Life, defiant and precious, announced its arrival. In the cramped, unsanitary conditions, with no medical supplies and only the help of fellow refugees, 5 babies were born. These 5 tiny souls, born at sea into a world of uncertainty, became symbols of hope for everyone on board. The crew nicknamed them Kimchi 1 through Kimchi 5, a small moment of light in the overwhelming darkness. Captain LaRue navigated his ship with quiet determination. A man of deep faith, he would later say he felt a divine hand guiding the ship through the mines. He relied on prayer and the sheer grit of his crew. Every creak of the ship's hull, every crash of a wave, sent shivers of fear through the thousands of passengers. But the vessel pressed on, a steel arc guided by courage. Finally, on Christmas Day, after a harrowing 450-mile journey, the SS Meredith Victory sailed into the port of Bizon. But their ordeal wasn't over. The port was already overwhelmed with other refugees and couldn't take them. They were turned away, forced back to sea. Disappointment and despair could have easily taken hold, but they persevered. They sailed on to another destination, Voyage Island. On December 26th, the ship finally docked. As the refugees disembarked, stepping onto solid ground for the first time in days, the relief was overwhelming. They had survived. Against all odds, they had been delivered from the inferno of war to a place of safety. The final count was astonishing. The SS Meredith Victory, a ship built for a few dozen, had carried 14,000 souls to freedom. And in what can only be described as a miracle, not a single life was lost during the voyage. Every person who boarded the ship in Hungnam, plus the 5 babies born at sea, arrived safely. This incredible feat was later dubbed the Ship of Miracles. It remains the largest rescue operation by a single ship in the history of humankind. It was a testament to the bravery of Captain LaRue and his crew, and to the unbreakable spirit of the refugees they saved. In the darkest days of the war, the voyage of the SS Meredith Victory was a profound act of compassion that demonstrated the very best of humanity. It's a story that reminds us that even in the face of impossible odds, courage, faith, and the will to save one another can lead to miracles. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as inspiring as we did, please like this video and subscribe for more tales of incredible human history.